Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today, doing the what's next on the reigning WBC Cruiserweight Champion of the world, Ilunga Makabu, from the Congo in Africa. Makabu returned on January 29th and made a mandatory defense of his title in a rematch when he took on Thabiso Mchunu, a guy that Makabu had knocked out back in 2015, but that fight was a very competitive contest back in 2015. There was a split down the middle when Makabu finally laid Mchunu out in the 11th round. So fast forward 5.5 years later, both fighters were better, and it really was a pick'em type fight, especially with the caveat that Canelo Alvarez might be the prize beyond the world title for these two guys. And it ended up being a competitive bout, but there's a lot of people that thought it ended very controversially as Makabu walked away with a split decision win in a fight that there was a lot of people that felt he didn't win the fight. I didn't see it. I wasn't going to waste $50 on a crap pay-per-view like that. But from what I read, is that Mchunu just stood there and boxed and did well, and Makabu didn't really have an answer for it. So, he put the pressure on, he had his moments, but from what I read, Makabu wasn't his best performance, let's just say that at the very least, and he escapes with his world title. But what's next for Ilunga Makabu following that? Well, prior to the fight, everybody was, there was a lot of people saying that Canelo was going to be moving in the direction of Jamal Charlo instead, having Jamal Charlo coming from 160 to 168 to fight, and was going to, go after that fight instead, as his managing team, Canelo's, Eddie Reynoso in particular, his trainer, was saying that they liked the Charlo fight better. So there are a lot of things that cooled off regarding the potential Canelo move to cruiserweight to go after a world title in a 5th weight class, as he would make Mexican boxing history, becoming the first ever 5-division world champion for anybody that hails from Mexico. But, the interest in Makabu as an opponent really was lacking by the boxing public. I think at some point boxing would enjoy seeing Canelo move up in weight, but move up and accomplish a feat like that. But I think he should settle any disputes from 168 to 160 in that area. Any guys that he should fight that got names, particularly Jamal Charlo and Triple G Gennady Golovkin. If he wants to throw a bone to Demetrius Andrade, since there's so many people that feel Andrade deserves that fight, I don't. But then maybe there. But then take over 175, unify all those belts, and then try to accomplish that goal at cruiserweight. Maybe he can get a big fight with Alexander Usyk, somebody along those lines. But the point is that I think it's one step at a time. Don't rush it. But hey, Canelo is he does what he wants. He's a free bird. So we'll see. But I really don't think it's going to be Canelo for Makabu next. That's just my opinion. Other options would be if he doesn't get Canelo, Alexei Papin was ordered to be the next mandatory. Like, heading into 2021, the WBC had ordered Makabu to make 2 mandatory defenses back to back. Now, they granted him a optional defense, and he took on Duradola in December of 2020 and stopped him in 7 rounds. But he was supposed to be fighting Thabiso Mchunu and then Alexei Papin. Those are both rematches. Him and Papin squared off in August of 2019, and that was a great fight that Makabu won by a close majority decision, and that made him the #1 contender in the WBC. He went on to beat Mikhail Cieslak in his home country in the Congo and captured the WBC Cruiserweight title, the vacant belt, with that win. Papin went on after that. That was his only loss. He went on and destroyed, not destroyed, but knocked out, I think it was Ruslan Fafer, who was beating him up to that point. but he got the win and retained his WBC title. Locked in an opportunity to fight for the title. So we'll see what happens between those two guys, and go from there. If Papin, I hope it's Papin, because I want to see the rematch. I think Papin deserves a rematch. Their first fight was really good. I watched that. That was on the Kovalev-Anthony Yard undercard on ESPN back in 2019. I really enjoyed that, and I really hope we see them back in action very soon. Papin back in action and fighting for the belt against Makabu. But outside of that, I don't know what other options there could be. Maris Bradis, maybe. Maris Bradis is settling a showdown with, he's making a mandatory, but there's been talks that Bradis and Lawrence Okoli want to fight each other. Lawrence Okoli's fighting Mikhail Slot. Arsen Gulamirian has a mandatory. If the WBC does not honor their mandatory for Alexei Papin, I think Makabu could pretty much fight whoever he wants in the second half of the year. But there's also Badu Jack, who's new to the cruiserweight division. So it's just kind of a toss-up. It really could be anybody. Makabu, I think at this point, though, is going to choose, maybe somebody with the biggest name, and that's why I say Badu Jack might make sense if the WBC does not honor their mandatory with Alexei Papin. So we'll see what happens. I hope we get something soon about this, following that win for Makabu. At the very least, we should know by, in the next month or two, which way Canelo is leaning for his fight in May, and if Makabu's in the cards for him, which I don't think he will be, but we'll see. But that's it. That's the what's next for Ilunga Makabu, the reigning WBC Cruiserweight Champion of the world, following his controversial split decision victory over Thabiso Mchunu. I hope you guys enjoyed it. True Boxing, you've been here with the truth.